Hiya peeps, Eve here. Today's video discussion is going to be about what living tiny teaches you. And at the very end, I'm going to explain to you what the number one thing that living tiny teaches you, the most important thing. So, to begin the topic, living tiny teaches you to be aware. Awareness is key. Let me explain. When you live tiny, you become hyper aware of your consumption and use of so many things. The largest being, most significant being, consumption of water, power, food. All of those things, you will become uber aware of these things. You'll become so conscious of how much water you have to have every day for drinking, bathing, cooking, cleaning. And that's going to vary depending upon whether it's just you or several other people. And that is significant as well. And you will become very aware of how much water you consume. You'll even become super, hyper, uber aware of how much water you pass. Living tiny will teach you so many things. So many things that in theory, you can't even begin to imagine all of them, because in order to, you have to have experience to learn anything. And experience teaches us that, correct? And living tiny will teach you to be aware. It teaches you awareness of consumption, how much you take in, how much you use, and also that consumption makes you hyper aware of exactly what we took for granted when we lived in our comfortable, didn't have to think about anything, sticks and bricks homes that were ultra automated, and you just, with the flick of a light switch, you had light. With the flick of a thermostat dial, you could adjust the temperature, and everything was automated and instant gratification world is sticks and bricks, but it comes at a high cost. And it also helps us, makes us, or breaks us from that awareness, which I believe is key to self-sufficiency and survival. We need that awareness. It keeps us sharp. It keeps us on our toes. It makes us more attuned with nature and our rhythm cycles, our circadian rhythm cycles that dictates in nature that everything gets up at dawn and goes to sleep at dusk, or starts shutting down at dusk and goes to sleep in the dark. That amazing circadian rhythm cycle that is in our bodies, that is set. It's set. There are physical laws. There are spiritual laws. The physical law of gravity dictates that if you jump off of a building, you're going to be severely, depending upon the height, you're going to be severely damaged when you hit the ground. That's a physical law. You defy it, you break it, you'll suffer the consequences of defying that physical law. The spiritual law of sin dictates that if you commit certain offenses like murder or theft, violate those particular laws as well, which are spiritual as well as physical, you will reap the consequences of that too. The Bible says you reap what you sow, but we're not going to digress and get onto biblical issues right now, although that's part of this teaching as well. Because living tiny teaches us that out of our self-sufficiency and all of this awareness of consumption of water, power, food, observing everything in nature, becoming uber and hyper aware of our emotions, isolation, learning to entertain ourselves, what makes us tick. You will actually discover more about yourself emotionally by living tiny, because you will have the opportunity to spend more time alone. You have to find more ways to entertain yourself. When you don't have the ability to just sit back and relax and watch TV mindlessly all day, and believe me, you won't, because when you're living tiny, you will be responsible for the maintenance and repairs of your dwelling. And that's a requirement if you own it. If you own it. If you own anything, you realize that without putting care and maintenance into that item, it won't last long. Well, so you will learn that, and that will keep you physically fit. That's a benefit of that. You'll stay physically fit, and you'll sleep better at the end of the day. Beautiful benefits. So the number one thing that living tiny teaches all of us is to be aware, and heightens our awareness. How to take care of ourselves, what we consume, how we're made, nature, becoming self-reliant and independent makes you more physically strong as a result of it, because you'll be out having to do things, bring your water in, physically repair things, observing nature. You'll spend a lot more time in nature. That alone is just priceless. But I think the biggest lesson that living tiny has taught me is that wherever you see creation, it declares a creator. And we were meant to communicate and commune with nature and with him. So, thumbs up, comment on, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And while you're subscribing to my YouTube channel, please ring that notification bell for future video uploads. And until next time, may Christ bless each and every one of you most abundantly. And yes, living tiny is going to teach you a lot of things. Lots of things. Get ready for the journey.